All right, take 3. Had a small interruption. Okay, this is going to be very short on today. We're going to go over John 5 and 42, Psalms 14 and 1, and then Romans 1 and 24, because it's a reference that we'll see. So we're going to go over that. Let me hide my little, get that out of my way. Okay. But I know you, that ye have not the love of God in you. And this is Jesus talking on the right-hand side. But I know you, being the omniscient God, he knew not only their persons, but their hearts, the thoughts of their hearts, what was in them, and what was wanting in them. How you going to hide anything from God who's omniscient? He knows everything. Particularly that ye have not the love of God in you. You think he don't know who loves them, so why are we so concerned about other people's love towards God, or if they're faking or all this kind of stuff? He knows that that's enough. Okay? And which is not in any man's heart naturally, for the carnal mind is enmity to God, and men by nature are haters of him and enemies in their mind to him, till this grace, which is a fruit of the Spirit, is implanted in them in regeneration. Love to God is one of the weightier matters of the law the Jews passed over, without which all the actions of men signify nothing. This they made great pretensions to, and would have had it thought that it was from the love of God that they sought to kill Jesus, for his violations of the Sabbath and making himself equal with God. But it was not from delight in the Sabbath or from love to the Lord of it, but out of ill will to Christ, that they expressed such dissembled piety and false zeal. They were lovers of themselves and not God. They were covetous men and loved the world and the things in it, which is inconsistent with the love of the Father. And besides, if they had loved him, they would have loved him that was begotten of him, and not sought to have him killed in a pretentious manner, accusing him of breaking the law and having him killed. All right. Now Psalms 14 and 1. Okay. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, have done abominable works. There is none that do it good. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Okay, the fool has said in his heart. Let's go to the first part. Okay, this is to be understood not of a single individual, okay, as Nabal, which is the word here used, nor of some Gentile king, as these people here, his general as Theodoret, nor of Nebuchadnezzar, nor of Titus, as some Jewish writers interpret it, making one to be here intended, and the other in the 53rd Psalm, the same with this, but a body, a set of men who justly bear this character. So it's not one fool, but it's a whole set of people. And designed not such who are idiots, persons void of common sense and understanding, but such who are fools in their morals, without understanding in spiritual things, wicked, profligate wretches, apostates from God, alienated from the life of God, and whose heart are full of blindness and ignorance, and whose conversations are vile and impure. And they, enemies of righteousness, though full of all wicked, subtlety and mischief, these say in their hearts, which are desperately wicked, and out of which evil thoughts proceed, pregnant with atheism and impiety, disrespect for God. These endeavor to work themselves into such a belief, and inwardly to conclude, or at least to wish, there is no God. Though they do not express it with their mouths, yet they would fain persuade their hearts to deny the being of God, that so having no superior to them, they are accountable. They may go on and sin with impunity. However, to consider him as altogether such an one as themselves, and to remove such perfections from him as may render him unworthy to be regarded by them, such as omniscience, omnipresence, and to conceive of him as entirely negligent of and unconcerned about affairs of this lower world, having nothing to do with the government of it, and thus deny his perfections and providence is all one as to deny his existence or that there is a God. They are corrupt, every one of these fools, and it is owing to the corruption of their hearts they say such things. They are corrupt in themselves. They have corrupt natures. They are born in sin and of the flesh and must be carnal and corrupt, or they do corrupt or have corrupted. They corrupt themselves by their atheistic thoughts and wicked practices. As the child they paraphrase as are their ways, their manner and course of life. So, we all have sin, but this is a course of life. They love sin, greedy for it, hungry for it, can't wait to do more of it. And they corrupt others with their evil communications, their bad principles and practices, their ill examples and wicked lives. They have done abominable works. Now, every sinful action is abominable in the sight of God, but there are some sins which are more abominable than others. There are abominable idolatries, worshiping other gods, and abominable lust, such as were committed in Sodom. You remember what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah? And it may be these are pointed at here, and which are usually committed by such who like not to retain God in their knowledge. And we're going to look at Romans 1 and 24, where they have a reference here. There is none that doeth good, any one good work in a spiritual manner. They may do good deeds, but we're talking in a spiritual manner, not in faith, from love, in the name and strength of Christ, and with a view to the glory of God. They're not doing it to glorify God, nor can any man do a good work without the grace of God and strength from Christ and the assistance of the Spirit of God. Hence, whatsoever a wicked man does, whether in a civil or in a religious way, is sin. Arama takes these to the words of the fool or atheist, saying, there is no God that does good like those in Zephaniah 1 and 12. Okay, let's look at Romans 1 and 24. Project was going to be really short today. Let's get it in the commentary. Just a reminder, when you reading is not studying. There are three parts to studying: observation, which is when you read, and then there's interpretation, which you have to go into the background, do some research or whatever, so that you can get clarification on what the scripture is saying. And then there's application, because you can't correctly apply something when you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so Romans 1:24. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. So over here in the commentary, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness, not by putting any into them, but by leaving them in the pollution of their nature, by withdrawing his providential restraints from them, and by giving them up to judicial hardness through the lust of their own hearts. The heart of man is the source of all wickedness. The lusts that dwell there are many, and these tend to uncleanness of one sort or another. By it, the here is meant particularly bodily uncleanness, since it is said they were given up to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, either alone or with others, so that as they changed the glory of God and dishonored him, he left them to dishonor themselves by doing these things which were reproachful and scandalous to human nature. Okay, so let's see. I think we all know what sodomy is. I was gonna do the definition, but I just don't even want to. All right, I hope y'all have a good day. I told you I was gonna be very brief today. I'll try to keep them coming on Sundays. I do live Bible studies Sundays at 6:15 a.m. Wednesdays at Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Okay, so anybody's welcome to join. All right. And let's see.